Senator Warnock from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chairman. The country's biggest banks often set the pace for the rest of our economy, which is why I think it's important for banks, especially the biggest banks, to be good corporate citizens and to model good corporate behavior that benefits our broader community. I think, frankly, that's good for capitalism. That means you use your power to stand up for climate so that we have sustainable solutions, for our democracy, which creates the context for capitalism, for voting rights, for the least among us, including our brothers and sisters who face discrimination at the hands of our financial system and sometimes at the hands of our own government. And I'll just give one example. This past weekend, I was honored to be in Fort Valley, Georgia, along with the Agriculture Secretary Vilsack for the rollout of the Debt Relief for Socially Disadvantaged Farmers program I fought to secure in the American Rescue Plan. Leading up to this event, honestly, I was quite disappointed to see this letter from several banking associations, including the American Bankers Association, an organization that all of your banks belong to, sent to the USDA. The letter actually complained that the relief program will cut into the bank's profits and argued that USDA should deviate from its congressional mandate to quickly implement the debt relief for eligible farmers who have faced decades of discrimination at the hands of the federal government. The letter suggested that somehow paying the prepayment penalty, which the USDA has already indicated it will pay, somehow that's not enough. And so I want to give each of you a chance to clear the air and distance yourselves and your banks from the ABA's concerning position. I'd like one by one, if you would tell me, do you agree with the position taken in the letter, which would either hinder the relief or slow down the relief farmers would receive, or somehow suggest that the American taxpayers ought to do more than pay the prepayment penalty, which they're already doing? I'd like a brief yes or no answer, since I have a few more questions and limited time. Mr. Scharf?
Senator,
do you agree with the letter?
This is not an issue that we're involved in.
Pardon?
This is not an issue that we're involved in.
Do you agree with the letter, yes or no?
Again, this is not our. I've not read the letter, but it's not our issue, and we are a significant lender in the agricultural sector.
Mr. Solomon, do you agree with the letter? You like Mr. Scharf, your bank is also a member of the ABA.
So it's not an issue we're involved in, Senator. We don't always agree with the ABA. We've made a $130 million commitment to Hope Enterprise Corp., which is a significant depository institution in that area, but it's not an issue we're involved in specifically.
Ms. Frazier?
I think similar to my colleagues, Senator, I'm afraid I haven't read the letter. This is not an area that we are involved in. And as Mr. Solomon said, we don't agree with everything that that. Do you
agree with this? Do you agree with that letter?
I'm afraid I haven't read the letter, so I don't know, sir.
Mr. Diamond, do you agree with the letter? Do you
fundamentally
that we should deviate from the congressional mandate and slow walk the payments that these farmers have been waiting on, or that the American taxpayers ought to do more than pay the prepayment penalty, which is part of the provisions of the law?
We did not fundamentally agree with the letter, and that was really our smaller bank brethren's. They do have some legitimate issue, but we did not fundamentally agree with the letter.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Monahan.
Similarly, it's not an issue that our company was involved in, and I think it's an issue for the smaller banks, and I think it would be better to hear their point of view on it, but it's not an issue we engaged in or had anything to do with.
Mr. Gorman?
I haven't read the letter. It's not our issue, but I certainly don't agree with discriminating against farmers.
All right, thank you so much. Listen, I want to touch on a different issue in my remaining time. As we know, the financial crisis, while painful for everyone, has been particularly devastating for Black and brown homeowners. Some of you may have seen recent media reports about Black and brown homeowners receiving valuation significantly undervalued compared to white homeowners. One story in Indianapolis is particularly heartbreaking. Mr. Scharf and Mr. Diamond, as the top two bank mortgage lenders in this country, when you consider the wealth gap and how that's exacerbated in the real estate market, where most people have most of their wealth in their homes, will you each commit your banks to take action to help address racial disparities within the home appraisals market?
Absolutely.
I agree, Senator.
Thank you so much. I think this is a critical issue, and it's the reason I'm introducing the Real Estate Valuation Fairness and Improvement Act along with Senator Klobuchar to help remedy these appraisal disparities which increase the racial wealth gap. Thank you so much.